Just don't get swept. Don't get swept at home by the Yankees. Like, Ray's Twitter, I think, would be in full meltdown mode if you get swept and you're 5-10. Hello, everyone. This is Raise Your Voice as part of the Fans First Sports Network. I'm your host, Brett Rutherford, joined, as always, by my good friend and co-host, Darby Robinson. And Darby, I mean, the Rays, they didn't win 2 out of 3. They didn't lose 2 out of 3. And they sure as hell didn't get swept. The Rays are coming off a sweep at the Trop over the New York Yankees. And this early in the season, that's so sweet. Like, it was such an incredible feeling watching those games this weekend. What were your thoughts? Now you finally got to settle in and watch some Rays games, I hope, since you've been out of the country.
I got
what
back.
A nice start,
it's ready. It's ready.
Yeah.
It's a series that, like, it's an April series. So it doesn't matter that much in the larger scheme of things. But man, does it really matter mentally? It really feels it like, you were right. We got to lead off the show with you, your big proclaiming of doom. But that's the thing, right? It does change the way fans feel about the team early on. Like, these big series against the Yankees, at home, back in the Trop, like, it was awesome. It was a great series, close games. All 3 games were really, really close.
Like the same score every game. I think 2 were 5-4 and 1 was 5-3.
It was really good. Like, it was exciting stuff. It also felt very much like it was the type of series, I think, that we have not seen the Rays play in like 2 years. It's the type of vibe that this whole team has right now, this season, that does feel a bit different than the last 2 seasons, where, like, the end result might be similar to the last 2 seasons, right? Around 500. Who knows? We don't know. It's a very long season to go. But the team just feels a lot more like alive and electric and fun. And these games against the Yankees, they didn't feel like they were going to be out of it. They felt like they were going to be able to, like, compete. The first game of the series was, we'll dive into each of these games a little bit closer. The first game of the series is the one you're like, we really want to get that one. You want to get one, so you're not going to get swept. You're going to get one because you're facing Max Fried and Cam Schlittler, like two of the best pitchers in all of baseball, like amazing pitchers. You're like, this is going to be tough. Like, it's going to be tough to score runs. And then you get to game 2 and you get a couple runs against Max Fried. You're feeling yourself a little bit there. That's amazing. And going into against Schiller in game 3, you're like, you know what? Hey,
you're playing with house money.
Let's do the sweep. Yeah, let's go. And the way each of these games went, it was just thrilling. So I don't know if this team has whatever that means. But this team certainly is fun.
Yeah, it certainly is fun. I want to talk more about, can we just say, like, this was a small ball team this weekend? This is a team that seemed to take a note out of the, whether it be the Guardians playbook, the Brewers, the Royals, some of the Royals teams of the last 10 years, of, we're going to small ball you to death, but we're going to do it using athleticism, right? This is not going to be like, all right, the first guy gets on, the next guy bunts him over. We are going to do things a little bit differently and try to produce runs a little bit differently.
Yeah, I was thinking about this because a lot of people are calling it like guards ball again. It's that type of thing. It feels different than guards ball, because guards ball's like kind of main thing is that, like, it's like a not even like fast guys. It's just weak contact that eventually, finds a hole, like, miraculously, and somebody, like, kicks the ball. Like, it does feel more like those Brewers or those old Royals, those classic James Shields led, Eric Hosmer and Mike Moustakas, Alex Gordon, like, Royals. that it's very funny because the Rays are probably the most like boogeyman team for your grandparents who hate the modern game and that at analytics and that money ball, and the Rays are the most, like oogly googly Excel, type of spreadsheet team. But now they're the team. Like, wake up grandpa, because guess what? You got a speedy slap hitter in leadoff, you got bunts, you got stolen bases. But you're right though, it's not just like, it's not boring sack bunts. They're not bunting to just move a guy over and then try to get a sack fly. The bunts have been weapons. And like Chandler Simpson and Taylor Walls has used like the bunt as like a tool, especially against a team like the Yankees, who have like tons of poor mechanics defensively. They made a lot of like really bad errors. They're a team that like they have some big sluggers, but they have a lot of sloppy play in the field that cost them in the World Series a couple years ago. Like, it's cost them in the postseason. If you can, sometimes you can use those bunts to your advantage, especially when you got like a guy like Chandler Simpson, who any ball in the field, if it is not directly to a fielder, there's panic. There's like, you have to do everything perfect. And so it's a weird old school style of baseball, like very, very old school style of baseball, but with like a bit of that modern flair that it is, like you said, very much athletic, speed based baseball.
In the way, like, the issue I think with that moving forward is that, I mean, first off, it did take some big hits other than just like small ball. You had big hits throughout the series. I think it was only one home run. Yandy, in the first game of the series, I think had the only home run for the team this weekend. But if you're going to sustainably win baseball games with this style of play, it's usually, we mentioned the Guardians, the Brewers, and the Royals. That is usually matched with elite pitching and defense. And while the defense looked better this weekend, and lots of the pitching looked better this weekend, I think this team is not super close to being elite at pitching or defense. I think they can get there by the end of the season. I think there's going to be some internal and some external changes that you can use to get your pitching staff right and to get your defensive alignment right. And guys that might not be here by the end of the season, that you can improve upon defensively. So if you're going to continue to play that way, you need to make sure the pitching and defense gets right. Or you did score 15 runs this week. It's not like you scored a small amount of runs. But there are going to be some days where you play the Yankees in Yankee Stadium and Trent Grisham hits a 3-run homer and Cody Bellinger gets an opposite field double that scores 2. And because Kevin Kelly hung a slider, and you're going to need to score 7-8 runs to win a baseball game. And you're not going to do that as often the way you played this weekend. With that being said, I still think you had some really good at-bats. This did not look like a bad offense. This looked like a really good offense that was using the weapons they have at their disposal, which is like first and foremost, Chandler Simpson. And I feel like we're going to talk a lot about Chandler Simpson this week and the rest of the season.
I mean, he's a breakthrough star.
Yeah,
like,
and the league is starting to take notice. You do it against the Yankees, the league will notice.
Oh, I think Chandler Simpson, I saw, somebody had the meme, the everywhere I go, I see his face, and it's just, the Tony Stark, but it's Chandler.
He's haunting Yankees fans. Like
he's
John
everywhere.
Boy, I don't know who the other guy he does a show with, but
Jake.
Jake. Oh yes, Jake. We're talking about the play at the end of the game, and they were all mixed up. Josh should have done this. Josh could have done that. And it's like the Yankees are so frazzled after playing Chandler Simpson and the Rays this weekend.
They threw like they threw to an empty base multiple times in that series. They were like, the only play is home. I'm going to throw home, and it's not even close. Like, Chandler or Walls are like already sliding by the time they're throwing it. And it's because there's just speed in motion. They brought in the Aranda walk-off is a chopper to a drawn in infield with Yandy. And it's just, but it's causing chaos. Well, it's also weird that you have like Cody Bellinger standing in front of Jazz, like in the line. Like, I feel like that's a weird thing. I don't know what Boone's doing over there, but again, 10-year contract for Aaron Boone. I love it. Keep him in Yankee pinstripes forever. But like Chandler Simpson, this is, I think, before the season, there's a great clip of us talking with Elijah about Chandler, because he is a very polarizing player. But we talked about how much we want him to succeed, right? He's a guy who we just want to see Chandler Simpson do well. We want to see Chandler Simpson be the player that, like, he could potentially be. But there were some real questions going into this offseason, what he needed to do. And it was improve it in defense and also get on base more. Like draw more walks and make actually make good contact. Because he's a great contact guy. He doesn't whiff a lot, but he is a guy that can actually, put a good bat on the ball, just not very hard. He's done all of the things he's needed to do. He has answered all of those questions so far through 3 weeks of the season. And huge credit to Chandler Simpson for putting in the work. Like, that is the type of thing that makes me more buy into this, because his BABIP's going to be over 400 right now. He's not like a guy that's, this level of offense is probably not sustainable. But what I've been seeing from him is something that I'm like, he's put in the work to be to fix those flaws. He went up to Atlanta. He worked with Marquise Grissom and Michael Harris. He worked with Kevin Kiermaier in the offseason. Like, he himself has put in all of the work he needed to do, and it's showing early. And that you just love to see effort rewarded like that.
And he's at the point right now, and I agree that this current level of offense is not sustainable. But he is playing at the point right now where he's providing enough offense to where, if at the end of the season the defense turns out to not be grading as well as it is right now, that's okay. My issue with Chandler last year was not only was the defense just out of this world bad, he also just, the offensive numbers weren't good enough. You look at the batting average, it was there, but he wasn't walking, so he wasn't getting on base as much as some other guys on the team with lower batting averages. And we need him on base a lot because he's never hitting for power. You're only getting the single and the steal. Now, he has had a couple triples this year. He's, I think, tapping into only certain guys have true control over where the ball goes in the field. I think that a lot of research has shown that most guys, you can try to get out ahead of it and pull a ball, but you really have no control as to where it goes. You have to swing the bat pretty slow, and Chandler Simpson has one of the slowest swings in baseball, which I do believe gives you control over okay, I'm going to try to drop it in below the outfielders or try to split the gap or hit it this way on the infield. I think he is one of the few guys that can do that. And
you look at his hit chart. If you bring up his Savant page, or if you look at the highlights, so there was a highlight going around this weekend. Somebody had like every hit of the season, and you'll notice the trend, like you're saying, is he will kind of just kind of wait on that pitch and then just serve it the other way, and knock it the other way or up the middle. But then when he turns around and actually swings around on him, it's down the line, and he's basically he's got a triple. So he's gotten all singles except for 2 triples, no doubles. If it's in the gap enough that he's going around first, why stop at second? Why stop at second? The triple this weekend, by the time the right fielder got the ball, Chandler was clearing second. A stand-up triple is one of the most electric plays in all of baseball, because you just don't see that often. But that was incredible. But you mentioned it, his bat speed, first percentile. So in the slowest bat speeds in all of baseball. He's also first in first percentile in hard hit percentage, first in barrel rate. But then you pair that wild combination with 100th percentile in squared up, 99th percentile in whiff, 100th percentile in K percentage. You basically he is no ball gets past him. He doesn't get strikeout. He doesn't whiff. He's making contact. It's squared up, but it's not hard because he doesn't have power. So it's this fascinating, again, wake up your granddad, because Tony Gwynn's back. He's alive again. And he's a quarter of the size. It's wild. It's very much, if you look at Tony Gwynn, now Tony Gwynn is a Hall of Fame player, much more power, but that style of batting where a lot of Tony Gwynn's hits were opposite field, kind of taking what the pitcher gave you, like really hard guy to get out, because you couldn't really, there wasn't like a put away pitch to him. And like, yeah, maybe you're not going to give up a home run, but like he's going to like frustrate you with foul balls, and then eventually just like boop, plopped it right opposite, away from the shortstop, away from the third baseman, and now he's on first.
Yeah. Listen, we could talk all night about Chandler Simpson. He is proving me wrong every game, and I love to see it because he's just been incredible. I want to talk a little bit about Kevin Cash as well. Kevin Cash, I thought, was a true, just had a truly great weekend as a manager. And for some reason, I can't quite put my finger on it. Whenever it's Kevin Cash versus Aaron Boone, Kevin Cash looks so great. All the decisions he makes seem to work out against Aaron Boone. I wonder, I can't figure out why that is. With that being said, though, I loved the lineup construction this weekend. We did see some Chandler in the leadoff spot, which I'm split on that. I still think Yandy Diaz is like your ideal leadoff hitter, but with Chandler getting on base on this clip, it makes so much more sense to have Chandler there now.
But are we seeing maybe even like a platoon split there, kind of like not?
Well, it
like
looks like it was righty-lefty.
Because there was a lefty today with the White Sox game, and Yandy was first, and so like I don't mind that. Like, you know, against lefties, Yandy, you know, jumps to the top, and then Chandler's still like fifth or sixth. Like you're still batting Chandler high, which again. Maybe put Grandpa back to bed, because now you're like, what is this tiny slap hitter doing on batting fifth?
Well, then you wonder, like, okay, do you bat, like, at what point would you then bat Chandler second against a lefty? Would you look at doing that, and then Caminero third, or Valade third, and Caminero fourth, and Aranda fifth, like sliding Aranda back down? Because you do want to have one lefty on the top half of the lineup against a left-handed pitcher,
right?
And it might get to the point where
for later in the game,
Simpson's a better option than Aranda to have there, but having Aranda like fifth or sixth, possibly, probably no lower than fifth. You could roll that out there like that too.
So back to Kevin Cash, because he is I think pulling some really interesting strings so far. He's getting a lot of doubt, obviously, you know, but like
what's new?
This series against the Yankees, I think, chef's kiss, just absolutely perfect. Tough stuff, right? Like what was the big question mark was Drew Rasmussen not coming back out for the 7th. Again, coming back like a man who's had multiple
injuries. Start day. Like who knows what his throw schedule was? I thought he was going to go 4.
Exactly. I mean, like, yeah, he was cruising, but like you maybe get one more inning out of him, but you also like, you know, last year 150 innings, like
this
7
guy's had
like
3 surgeries. If you push him an extra inning in April. Like, I think people forget that, like, the Rays' arms, like, Rasmussen and McClanahan, these guys' arms have been shredded.
Yeah.
Like, we're lucky they're on big league mounds and finding some success. Rasmussen looks great. McClanahan is a work in progress. And I don't know if, you know, he probably won't ever get back to his peak, but he's got to find some way. We could talk about McClanahan a little bit later on. But, yeah, Rasmussen's not going to go that extra inning. And you went for it in the first 2 games, and because of that, you got 2 wins. So you're not going to see Brian Baker a 3rd straight game in April. I don't know what else you
Griffin Jack's a 3rd straight, or Hunter Biggie. Yeah, I mean,
and then
you play with house money in the 3rd. Yeah, you play with house money because you went hard in the other ones. You had Steven Matz, who pitched phenomenal, 7 strikeouts, 5 innings. Again, Steven Matz and Nick Martinez, like, those guys have been doing yeoman's work, perfect 3-4s. You know, like, they've been guys that they've won 6 games with those 2 guys starting, like, incredible. They did what you could hope for. And then you basically said, we're going for it because we got a lead, and we're going to basically, he's going to like bullpen the shit out of this.
Yeah.
He's going to just like go for it with all the big arms you can.
And it worked. And you won the game.
And it worked.
And you get to Wednesday. And you're probably making pitching decisions on Wednesday saying, you know what, this might not work out today, but we won the series. And we've got these guys. Let's put them in some big situations. Because, like, let's say you had made the decision to go like one of those guys for a third straight day. Well, then they're
Yeah.
definitely out for today. And right now, you're
Yep.
trying to protect a 3-run lead in the late innings against the White Sox, and you've got Hunter Biggie in with 2 men on and 2 outs. And the White Sox, I mean, they could be. Griffin Jax is warming in the bullpen for the Rays, so those guys are rested, so that when there's another win in play today, we can go for it and we can beat the White Sox.
Yeah.
I'd rather end up losing 2 out of 3, or sorry, winning 2 out of 3 against the Yankees, but not completing the sweep, and then picking up 2 out of 3 against the White Sox, or maybe even sweeping the White Sox before you go play a tough Pittsburgh team.
It's also April. We saw what happened with Manny Rodriguez, right? Like, he was a guy who was like a rubber arm until he wasn't. You know, like until the arm like gave up. Like, and April is a really it like happens every year. Like, who was it that had a couple years ago? Was it like Kluber that had like a no-hitter going like on the opening, like his first start of the season? And like everyone's like, how, like they gotta, you know, how do you not like leave him in? And it's like, because he's old. It was an older pitcher, and it's like because it's his first start of the season. Like, you know what? That no-hitter, yeah, that's a lot of fun. His arm's dead. Like, there's no chance he's making it the whole year, like blowing it out. So no, you go for. Here's the thing. When you, like you said, house money with that last one. And yeah, you have Drew Rasmussen, crushed it. Unbelievable. 7 strikeouts, 6 innings, 1 hit. Like, the Yankees lineup is, I mean, right now, very feeble. I mean, they had an amazing game against the Angels like yesterday with multiple home runs from Trout, multiple home runs from the like Judge. Like, it was an awesome game. But you go into that Sunday game and you go, listen, we're gonna have the dredges of the bullpen. It's gonna be against Cam Schlittler, so we may not actually win this one, but we're gonna give it a shot. And they had a lead, they had a little cushion, and so like, okay, let's see what we got. Cole Sulser, disaster, terrible, couldn't get anything out. You have to have Mason Englert for the 9th, not ideal. But he survived. Mm-hmm. You had a kind of a garbage time home run from Aaron Judge to pad the stats, but not give up the loss. And then in between, you have Kevin Kelly, who again, another clean outing. Which I will say, can I just a tiny thing on Kevin Kelly, who another guy much maligned. This year, he did have a horrendous disaster piece game where he got completely nuked. But outside of that one, he has been pretty much flawless. He's given up 2 hits in about 5 1/3 innings outside of that one game against Minnesota, with about 5 Ks, no walks. He's been whipping it. Like, Kevin Kelly's looking he's like kind of buying his spot. And you know, this line, things look a lot different in a couple weeks when Edwin Uceda's back and Garrett Clevenger's on his way back, and you kind of replace guys like Yohendris Gomez or Cole Sulser or Mason Englert, who are, you know, definitely just there to give you some length, right? Because it is April. What you're liking to see is that this series against the Yankees, the guys that Kevin Cash relied on, who said he went to the pen and said, we got to win this game, I'm going to call on these guys. They did the job. You know, like Brian Baker picked up the save, gutty save. He had left a pitch to Jose Caballero, who stung it. But like Jax, Baker, Biggie, all did their job for the most part this series. Yeah. And it was a lot better than what we've seen in recent times. So we're seeing that bullpen start to round into form. And all Kevin Cash can do is play with the pieces he's given. And I thought he pulled the levers. He did everything you can. And when you come away with a series sweep, beating Max Fried and Cam Schlittler, manager did something right.
Yeah. And so like even game 3, when you've got Mason Englert in the game and he gives up a home run to the best hitter in the world. He gives up a home run to Aaron Judge. Like, okay, yeah, you had a 3-run lead.
It was a 2-run. It was a 2-run home run. Yeah. You had one to give.
Yeah. Okay, Aaron Judge he would like I've seen Griffin Jacks throw 95-mile-an-hour meatball to Alec Burleson that he like.
Yeah. That was a
Okay,
worse pitch. That was a worse pitch.
yeah, you gave one up to the best hitter. I'm glad you didn't walk everyone else because that's where you run into trouble.
Yeah.
And I also do think, like, I think I said last week that it was going to be like Kevin Kelly on the mound getting a save this weekend. Like, against the Yankees, you're going to play enough close games where guys are going to have to pitch in higher leverage than you want. Like, that always happens. Yeah. And it's definitely going to happen more over the course of 162 game season. So why not get these guys those reps?
And in this battle, right, the Yankees are in the similar boat. They, Max Fried went longer, but like other than that, you had a similar bullpen battle, and Kevin Cash's bullpen, which I don't think a lot of people would have taken over the Yankees. He pulled the strings. He pulled the puppet strings that he needed to do, and he beat Aaron Boone and their bullpen. Like that was a bullpen battle, and the Rays bullpen came out on top. You had like these pieces where, and then credit to the Rays offense for being able to come through with some of that small ball and making it work. But just really impressive series. You can't. It's 3 games. They all matter, right? But like in April, you just want to set the tone for most of the season. Mm-hmm. And right now, the tone setting has been, as disappointing as opening day was in St. Louis, blowing that lead. You still look at this team right now, and they went 4-5 on a 9-game road trip to start the season, which is impressive. They came home. They had a winning homestand in the Trop, return to the Trop, including sweeping their rivals and being right now 3-0 in the AL East. The offense is top 10. The pitching has, left something to be desired, but you think the pitching and the defense will round into form. We started to see that this weekend. The offense is exciting, fun, different, something just like a little bit more thrilling than what we've seen. And the strategy we talked about all offseason, it's coming to play. Whether it lasts, I think that's we'll talk about that like as the season goes on. But this is a very different style of offense than what we've seen from the Rays in the past. They went into this offseason. Eric Deander clearly decided we're going to cut down on strikeouts. We're going to cut down on whiffs. We're going to increase contact. And he did talk about with like Chandler Simpson using using bunts as a weapon. And what we've seen so far is all of that come into play. The Rays are top 10 offense in runs scored and OPS and on base percentage. And they're doing that through basically very low strikeouts, very low whiff rate, and high contact. And not every ball is going to find a hole. They're eventually going to stop. But we also saw that with the home run, the high K, high power. Sometimes balls don't leave the yard. The swing and strikeouts can be very frustrating. Yeah. And I think for a lot of Rays fans, they talked about everybody, when you have a high whiff, high power lineup, everybody wants high contact. When you have the high contact and you're watching the Cleveland Guardians play, you go, kill me now, please, God, give me anybody that can hit a ball over the yard, end this misery that I'm in. So, it's 2 different things.
I think the next guy we need to talk about is Taylor Walls. Taylor Walls, since coming off the IL, has started every game at shortstop. Right now, you're at a point in the season where there's a lot of off days built in, so there are guys getting those random days off as regularly right now. And Taylor Walls is your shortstop. And first off, like I know he had like a couple of rough games, but overall he's looked good. And it reminds you why Taylor Walls was going to be the starting shortstop again this year over a Carson Williams, or why they also didn't go out and get another veteran player like a Lux or like a Mullins or like a Fraley at the shortstop position. Because I still think they really like what Taylor Walls brings. I will say his offensive profile leans more into what the Rays have been trying to do. We had another sack bunt that led to a sack bunt, even though it's Chandler Simpson, so it's never truly a sacrifice. But he laid down a bunt, moved the runner over to third, and they just brought him home to make it 8-3. Which, man, it's fun facing the White Sox. bullpen.
Not usually. Not
Yeah,
usually. Not
usually,
the Rays.
when I
The
looked at the
Morris.
schedule too
It's
and saw
been
like
terrible.
mid-April at the White Sox, I'm like that could go
It's
bad.
incredible.
Hey, and it still
Yeah.
could. It's early. It's only a
I
5-run
I
lead.
I like it's I'm not gonna say much about the White Sox, but I was looking at this lineup and I'm like, I really like this lineup. And then I look and see like everybody's hitting like 500 OPS and like like
Yeah,
150. And I'm like, oh, and then Everson Pereira is batting cleanup, who hit a 3-run home run today.
of course
Go
he
figure.
did. Of
But
course he did.
like
Like
looking
players
at
that were
this lineup,
truly terrible with the Rays that just come up back and hit a home run against Shane McClanahan.
love it. It's a
Yeah.
classic. Thank God Curtis Mead isn't still there. But like looking at their thing, they're building something interesting. White Sox they're not there yet, but
I think, you know
there
what
are a
I
lot
like
of
about
neat
baseball
pieces
right now,
there.
and we're seeing a lot of this, not to get too much on a tangent. We'll get back to Taylor Walls in the series against the Yankees, but the,
Where it's our bodies are naturally trying to just not talk. Taylor Walls does something good, and we're just
yeah,
naturally avoiding it.
there's been a lot of talk this week about like the standings. Everyone's super close. There's like, it seems like there's a lot of parity, and that could lead to first off, it's like, all right, it's 2 weeks in, like let's give it some more time. But the standings are pretty tight. Teams like the Pirates look really good. The Marlins look good. The Nationals, there's some interesting pieces there, and it does feel like there's not a like the teams that had big changes in their front office. It feels like most teams have something interesting about them now. They're trying
Mhm.
something new. The Rockies, I don't know if it'll work with the Rockies, but it's better that they're trying something new. The Nationals, it's better that they're trying something new. The White Sox, the A's are a really fun, interesting team to
Yeah,
watch.
yeah.
Um,
Even the twins,
yeah,
like
the
they've
Twins
been
look
pretty
good.
exciting.
Uh,
The fighting Derek Sheltons.
I think it's going to make this season really fun because I think there's going to be a lot of teams in
Yeah,
contention. And in the Rays, it was on, what podcast was it on? It was on Rates and Barrels, which I don't mind plugging those guys. I love
they're
listening
amazing.
to their show. They
Eno
talked about
and
the AL East
Derek.
and BVR. They did their AL East preview before the season, and there was a lot of teams they liked, and they were talking about the four teams that we thought were going to be contenders for the division, and the Rays weren't one of them. But they did say in that episode where they previewed the division is that usually one of these teams is just like flat out of the gate and never figures it out. Last year it was Baltimore. This year it looks like it could be Boston. New
Mhm.
York is coming. I think it's going to benefit the Rays to just stay like right in the thick of things and just try to be the
Yeah,
last man standing. Like if you want to go
yeah.
for this division, you're not going to like race out to the front, but if you can kind of maintain where you're at, and while these other teams struggle to switch gears, I think you could be definitely in a wild card race, but maybe you're in the race for the division too.
It's interesting stuff. Well, let's give Taylor Walls his credit. We got to go back to Taylor Wall because
Yeah.
it may not last. We might go back to by next week even. But this series, you mentioned we were texting with this series, and I think you had a great hot take, which was that like Taylor Walls was like a legit X factor in
Mhm.
this series. Like he was a key member. Like this series, maybe more so than like Caminero or
Yeah.
Aranda.
Oh
Like
no, definitely
Taylor
more than
Walls was
Canamero.
he was like, we don't win, we don't sweep the Rays do not sweep the Yankees without Taylor Walls. What a crazy sentence that I just said, but I also believe it.
Yeah. No, he was like, first off, he is just better defensively at shortstop than Carson Williams. I think Carson Williams
Yeah.
has like the potential to be really good. I don't know if he's like got gold glove potential. That's really hard to do at that position, but very good. Walls is the best. I think
Platinum
he
glove.
is the best shortstop. And so that makes a huge difference. He's incredibly smart on the bases. He's a good runner.
Yes.
He's been putting the ball in play. He's been playing his role. I think he is an incredibly smart baseball player. I think he knows how to add value in ways that other guys don't on the field. And that paid off this week. And he played, here's the thing, he's played every game. The other thing of note is that Carson Williams has now been playing second base in Durham. He's never played second base in his career. They've got him at second base now, which makes me think, once Lux is back off the IL, they might look at Carson if he's going to come back up this year as a second baseman, which that might hurt his playing time even more now because you got Ben Williamson, who I kind of like.
Yeah,
Although
I
it
do
looks
too.
like Williamson's range did kind of come back to get him, and that's the issue with Williamson. So maybe they prefer Williams to Williamson in that utility role. But yeah, I think that's a big thing to note that Carson is not playing shortstop in Durham. Are they not grooming him to take over the shortstop position again this season? Again, a little bit of a 180 from what I thought at the beginning of the year when they named Carson Williams the starting shortstop, and now he's right back to Durham and he's not even on the position anymore. I don't think that ends his time at shortstop. Don't get me wrong, but something to
No,
note.
no.
The other things about the other thing that Taylor Walls brings, and Williams was playing pretty much every day at shortstop when he was up, but the Rays have at least five everyday players that are in the lineup basically every day. Three that have not missed a game this year, and that's Aranda, Caminero, and Diaz. But then you've got Walls and Simpson and Mullins in there as well as everyday players.
I think
Um,
most of the time.
so that's six. And then you're rotating Fiducia and Fortes, with Fortes getting a little bit more of the playing time. You're giving Fraley the
Like a 60
majority of the
40.
playing time, but he's in a true platoon with DeLuca. And then Valade is, I think this is his third start of the season today, only starting against left-handed
Lefties.
pitching. And I don't even think he started against every left-handed starter,
Great.
because you've got
3
Simpson
for
that's
4
platoon
today with a
neutral.
double for
Yeah,
Ryan
no,
Valade
him and Williamson are stepping up. The Rays have 9
for
hits.
Ben's adopted son.
Everybody's saying Mason English back in the game now. So another day of rest for Baker. And, well, again, still 8 outs to get.
It's
So.
still early. There's still ways to find.
Yeah.
We'll see.
But yeah,
No,
I think that gives
it,
the lineup, it gives it some stability, but there's still room to tweak with things here. And I still don't know what it's going to look like when Gavin Lux is back.
yeah, I think it helps to. I mean, we also talked about it. Like Richie Palacios has started the season really, really well. So like Richie being as another bench guy, and again, like Gavin Lux, he's had injury problems in the past. Like he is a guy who has kind of been bit by the injury bug more times than not. And so if he might take a while to get back, he might, when he gets back, get hurt again. So it's really nice to have like guys that you can like come in and out of. And he is a true platoon guy. Like Lux is not a guy that was going to start he was not going to start against lefties. He's really bad against lefties. So he was a true platoon guy. It's nice to have options for these platoons. And yeah, it's an interesting dilemma when Lux is back, because I think the team as a whole, like it is nice to have guys like Taylor Walls just slot in, like you said, ninth. He's the ninth hole hitter. He's at shortstop. He knows what his job is. And this year, I think actually I've seen, this is something we've talked about so much with Taylor Walls, but like I want to see him bunting. I want to see him like putting the ball in play, kind of scrapping it up. I want him to be like the Brett Gardner of like the Rays, right? Like stop trying to hit for power. Don't swing for the fence. I want you to just kind of chop a ball. I want you to bunt. I want you to kind of cause some chaos, because his best weapon is going to be that glove. The next best weapon, you mentioned it, is his baseball IQ. And like he's not the fastest guy. He's like kind of 60th percentile, I think, in sprint speed, but he's such a good baseball IQ guy that he runs the bases well. He is a value on the base path. So we saw that in game 2 or game 3, where he got on to second. Chandler Simpson back to the top of the lineup, laces a nice little 2-out base hit to Cody Bellinger, who's got a pretty decent arm in the outfield, and Walls beat it out for a run. That's generating a run from your ninth hole and your leadoff hitter. That is what you want to see. You don't want this team to be so dependent on Yandy and Aranda and Caminero coming through. Right to start the season, Caminero and Aranda have been kind of just okay. They have not been great. I'm not worried about either of them, but they have been kind of middle of the road and well below what they are capable of. So to see this offense do well with the rest of this crew, with the rest of these guys, with the Ben Williamsons, with the Ryan Valades, with the Taylor Walls. That is what you really want to see. You want to see that contribution up and down the lineup, because eventually Caminero is going to get locked in and Jonathan Ronda is going to get locked in. And when that happens, this offense can really, really sing, and it'll pick up for when, Ben Williamson he hasn't even started that hot to start the season. He's just done, kind of what you're expecting of him. But it's a great,
and his role
it's the type of lineup
could be reduced here in a few weeks too, with Luck coming back.
Absolutely.
I mean,
he could absolutely take a lot of that spot.
The lineup could look very similar night to night once Lux is back, which is crazy to think. Although I'm here campaigning for more DeLuca playing time. I'm still doing that.
Oh man, Johnny DeLuca.
I'm doing 180s on guys. I think I said like a year and a half ago on this show that like Johnny DeLuca should not be a starting like a major league.
You were not a DeLuca guy.
No, but I'm I'm not a Mullins guy. Let's just say that. So
yeah,
it's forcing me into being a DeLuca guy. But overall, I think having Walsh back helped. I think the team, you could see the recipe for the Rays to win games this year, and there's still a lot of things they need to do better. And this team's not making the postseason if Caminero and Aranda are not like all-star level hitters, because you're getting contributions from Simpson and from Diaz, of course. But if you can get, well above average contributions from four guys in your lineup, that's a playoff team. And you figure out the bullpen, you get Pepio back. McClanahan works some things out, and that's when the team is really dangerous. And we're not there yet, but again, it's still early. Ryan Pepio. Oh, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just about to say, I think the biggest thing like with this team is that it feels like a team. We've seen this team the last couple of years swoon a lot and just kind of fall apart, and just seemingly the bad stuff, like something bad happens and they just kind of fall apart. This team this year feels a little different in that regard. Like a lot of guys have talked about this all off season. Shane McClanahan was just with Chris Adams-Wall on the podcast there, the Rays podcast. And like, he was talking about this clubhouse being different. There was an article from Adam Berry on MLB.com about how from Tampa Bay Times that was talking about basically how the clubhouse chemistry is at pretty much the best it's been in years. Yandy's talked about it. Shane McClanahan's talked about it. And I think, listen, we're on the outside. We don't know what that's in, but we're hearing from what the players are saying. And we're also seeing it on the field. Like, again, not a Mullins guy, but that Mullins home run, you saw Chandler Simpson just like explode at third. He was loving it. You've seen this team that the Chandler Simpson Taylor Walls play I was talking about. Who's right behind him and like trying to get Taylor Walls down? It's Caminero, full body in there. Like Caminero's not in the best, like he's not hitting his best, but he is still locked in. He's still firing this team up. You got the whole, like, this is a lively dugout. This is a dugout that's alive. A couple of years ago, we talked about how Jose Siri and who is the pitcher for the Brewers? Wasn't Abreu. But they basically, there was a fight that like started, and like the whole clubhouse or the whole dugout was basically like, I don't care.
It was Abner Uribe and Jose Siri.
Uribe, yeah. And that was a sign where like this team is in trouble because nobody cared. They were like, I don't know, punch him. Who cares?
And I watched Chandler Simpson come into the dugout after laying down the bunt and getting thrown out, and like everybody was high-fiving him. And again, like, I don't know, I'm sure that happens. Like, I'm not trying to blow it out of proportions. This team is different than any other team in baseball, but it is a good sign.
But it's different from the boring teams that we've seen the last couple of years. The teams that felt like there was a bit of a pulse lacking.
I was cleaning out my closet and I had a stack of old Ray shirts, and I pulled one out that I hadn't worn in a couple of years, and for good reason. It was the shirts that were printed a few seasons ago. I don't know if this was 2020 or 21 or whatever it was. The not interesting nor charismatic Rays t-shirts. And I haven't been able to wear that in the last couple of years because They really have not been interesting
It's true.
nor
It's true.
charismatic. And it was no longer ironic. It was just very real. Um, it might be a size too small now, but I think we held on to the shirt. It's somewhere. Hopefully, we can break that out again at some point this year
There you go.
if they can keep it
There
up.
you go.
Let's cover some injury news before we get out of here today. Ryan Pepio. We don't really have news about Ryan Pepio. We weren't exactly sure when he was coming back. We do know now that he's been moved to the 60-day IL to give the Rays room to sign right-handed pitcher Michael Grove, who's a former Dodger that is also hurt. But they needed to be able to add him to the 40-man roster to sign him because he was on a big league deal.
Yes.
So they needed the 40-man spot. They moved Pepio to the 60-day. I don't know how much that actually tweaks his timeline to come back because it's retroactive because he hadn't pitched. But it doesn't sound like there's necessarily bad news on Pepio. They're either slowing him down a little bit or this is a purely administrative move, procedural move to create the roster spot.
It sounded Cash was talking about it, just basically said that he wasn't quite feeling right, so they wanted to kind of do something a little differently with him. So he was still gonna need to stretch out into kind of game shape because he missed a lot, pretty much all of spring. So he's going to, I think, start a rehab assignment or do a little bit of rest, raise it up again, rehab assignment to kind of ramp back up into kind of season shape. And so I think the 60-day is just, it seems more procedural. It might be it still might be a month or so, it sounds because rehab assignments and whatnot, or maybe 3 weeks, but it doesn't sound like doesn't sound like there was a big setback, I guess is the takeaway. Yeah. And this is an opportunity because Michael Grove is recovering from a shoulder surgery. So I believe he's out the whole season, if not, into next, but he's a guy that you can't sign and put onto the 60-day. You have to have a roster spot. So it's, once McClanahan or once Pepio is ready to come back, you can just flip the two and move Grove to the 60-day IL. And
yeah,
that's your roster spot.
I don't know what Grove's status is. He hasn't pitched since the 2024 season. Labrums are always nasty.
Yes.
But he was in the Dodgers bullpen, which is always a good sign, I think. And he was the results weren't there. But man, I mean, he's kind of shown some ability.
The underlying stuff.
Even at the
underlying stuff was nice.
So I'm kind of excited about that. I mean, you're getting him for super cheap because you have no idea what he is this year, what he's going to take to get back to the mound. But in his last season, had a couple of really good secondary pitches. His stuff plus numbers were pretty decent. 107 on the knuckle curve, and the location plus was really good. He had some issues with the long ball, and obviously that led to some poor ERAs. What was his ERA in 2024? It was 5.12, and he gave up over a home run per 9. It was 6.13 in 2023 when he pitched 69 innings, including 12 starts for the Dodgers that season. But this feels like a very interesting Rays-y pickup that you're buying low on an injured pitcher.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a guy who's, kind of, again, he's coming back from injury, so we'll see what happens. But I think the Rays have this reputation in the league amongst players as being pretty good at rehabbing with. I think they do, they treat players well. And I think this is again, it's still a pitching factory in a lot of ways. So not a bad place to kind of be. And I was wrong. I will say he missed all of last season. So he's about 12 or 13 months from the surgery. Yeah. So he actually could be back this year. But you basically get him if he's able to start pitching this year, goes to Durham and works out there, and then
he does have an option.
One of those very low risk moves. Yeah, he has an option and is ARB eligible in 27. So still a couple years of control even. Kind of feels a little bit almost like the Forrest Whitley pickup from last year.
Oh, very
Is,
similar.
a
Yeah.
guy who a lot of talent, a lot of potential, and you're not like asking him to be a fix of anything. It's sort of just a bring in a fun toy to maybe fix and see if you can get any found money there. But yeah, Michael Grove, interesting guy, interesting pickup. Definitely one to kind of like put on the back burner to think about, because that could be a factor later on the season or even in the next.
The next one, Gavin Lux. We know he's hurt in rehab, ankle injury. Doesn't sound like he's been recalled from his rehab assignment, but still, I guess I'll see if he's in Durham tomorrow, if he's back in the lineup. I don't believe he played today, but they're expecting him to get back out there. I just don't know how much more time he's going to need. He hasn't, I mean, the offensive results haven't been great. I think he looks basically fine, though. And how quickly the Rays want to get him up, and then what's his playing time look like when he's there? Going into the year, it sounded like he was going to be the strong side of a platoon at second base, playing there almost every day. And it looks like that will be the case now. Palacios isn't playing a ton in the big leagues, so it seems like Palacios could be the guy to go down when Lux is ready. And that means you're probably getting Williamson on the short side of the platoon with Lux. And then when the schedule heats up, getting him some work at shortstop and at third base. But I'm not like, I don't know. I don't know what I expect out of Gavin Lux when he's here. I'm kind of worried that it's going to mean less situational playing time for a guy like Williamson. And I just don't know how good Lux is going to be.
I think this is a different situation than it's kind of funny because I think a lot of Rays fans are sort of like getting Ha-Seong Kim, like, flashbacks, right? Like, oh my God,
true.
again, another guy, another middle infielder just dinged up and injury after injury after injury after injury. The different situation here is that, like, I don't think that Lux is somebody who you're not like begging. Like, I think that's the better. It's the better spot because you have Ben Williamson, who we both really like, and I think he's doing a good job there. And then you have like Richie Palacios, who's kind of he's a really fun guy, and he's started the season quite good. And so when you look at that, you're like, I don't know, you don't have the same sinking feeling when Lux is like, oh no, he's missing some more time. It's like, I'm okay. Like, hope he gets back. Like, I am excited to see it. Like, I think he's a good major league player, and I'm excited to see that mix, right? I think, but like, I don't know, he can take his time. I'm okay with it. Like, a little bit more time for Richie. Like, again, Richie Palacios is a guy, we talked about this last week. Like, he's hit when he's been healthy, and it's one of those things where it's like, if he like Williamson and Palacio, like, I don't know how much of I think Lux just mixes in with that, but I don't think he's necessarily significantly better than that. So right now, if I'm looking at this team, I'm like, I mean, I'll be interested to see Lux come up, but yeah, it's the one area where they can take as much time as they need, and he, like, any setbacks, it's a bummer in a little ways, but it's also, I'm like, I like this core. I like those guys. I like their second base situation right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I agree. I think it's fine. And Lux probably doesn't change things too much in terms of what the floor is there. I don't think he raises the ceiling much for that position. I want to talk a little bit about Shane McClanahan. If there's like a part where, we're so excited to see him come back to pitching, right? And we're glad that he's healthy, but I don't know if some fans had certain expectations about what Shane was going to be right out of the gate. And if they're feeling disappointed, my take is that this is a guy who had injury problems when the Rays drafted him. This is a guy that could have gone as high as number 1 overall in the draft before some of the injury concerns flared up at USF. The Rays got him all the way down. I think it was one of the compensatory picks. He slid in the draft. The Rays got him. They got 3 really good seasons out of him, and then he gets hurt again. Like, that's kind of, he's going to need some time, and he's probably never going to be the same pitcher he was. But right now, the command, especially on the fastball, it just isn't good enough for the rest of his stuff to play up to where it needs to be for him to have big success in 2026. I think he can figure it out. I think it's going to take time. And I think he's a good enough pitcher to where he can tweak what he does in order to find success. Will it be this season? Will it be consistently this season? That I'm not convinced about. So the rest of the pitching staff really does need to step up. He's not going to be ace level Shane McClanahan this year.
No, I think he's kind of in this interesting. He's kind of like working his way through. Much more the back end starter guy than a top end guy, especially with the stuff that he has and the command that's coming back. But I am giving him a little bit of. I'm giving him quite a bit of leeway because of the fact he mentioned this with Chris Adams. Well, he didn't do any rehab assignments, right? Like he got injured before, like pretty much right in spring last year, missed a whole bunch of time, came back this spring and like has been basically on a workout regimen. And so I think it's like he is still kind of working back from both like Tommy John and the strange nerve issue. And so I'm curious to see as the season goes on, as he kind of kind of works his way through things, if we don't see an uptick in stuff. Right now, there definitely seems like a lot of rust there, but he's also still like gutting it out. He's been battling out some pretty good games for somebody who's definitely not all there. And I think a lot of worse pitchers would not be even providing a chance for their teams. And McClanahan is giving the Rays a chance to win each of his starts.
Yeah.
Even though it's definitely not he's the stopper. He's the guy that you want in that level. And so, you're definitely looking at like Rasmussen needs to be the ace, and he is. You really need Pepio back to be that number 2 and take the next step up in his career, because Martinez and Nick Martinez and Steven Matz, really, really solid where they are. Shane McClanahan as your number 5. You're just taking what you can get. Rays are kind of missing that number 2 right now. That's the one piece that they do not have. If they get that, I think this rotation is perfectly fine, and McClanahan is fine with what he's doing.
Yes, I agree with you there. Other guys will need to step up, and McClanahan's the type of guy where if he's not feeling like, if you can't trust his stuff, he's going to nibble a little bit more. It's going to lead to more walks. I think he's good enough pitcher to battle though and not have a big like implosion on the mound. So it's going to be interesting to monitor, watch him start to start to see what he does. Chandler Simpson gets on base, he extends the streak, gets a hit up the middle here in the top of the ninth. Man, I mean, 12 hits on the
16 games. 16 games to start the season. And that's now second just to Evan Longoria and Jorge Cantu with 20.
Yeah.
To start the season.
It's pretty crazy.
To start.
It is pretty crazy. The Rays are playing the White Sox now. We got a trip to Pittsburgh this weekend, Darby. I mean, we don't know the result of tonight's game yet, but we've got 6 games this week, all on the road. How many wins would it be? Would mark a successful week for you?
Pittsburgh's going to be tough. That's a tough series right there. That's a really they're playing some really good ball. Brandon Lau's been killing it. They weirdly Paul Skeens until this last start was kind of 5 ERA and another World Baseball Classic hangover there. But I don't if they can get if you get 4 wins, that's 2 series wins, or if it's 3 against one and 1 against the other. 4 wins is great. You're on the road, right? So 6. So 3-3 on the road. You go 500 on the road. You battle. I'm more at this point hoping to see just the team continue to play the type of ball that we've seen and keep in these games, and then hopefully you get those wins. But 3 wins, 3-3. I'm perfectly okay with that. If the 3 losses are all well played games, if you're playing well, you're not beating yourself. I'm not going to be as frustrated if a team beats you. You're going to have it's the road. You're going to have a disadvantage there. But you're good. But if you're just booting the ball, if you're making like 5 errors, that's when I'm going to be really frustrated. Even if you win, like that's the thing that you're like, you just don't want to see. You want to see them just play the clean ball. What about you?
I think now, like knowing what I know about this game right now, where we haven't used any A bullpen and we're got a 5-run lead going into the bottom of the ninth, I want 4 wins. I want a winning road trip. I think you can do it. The Pirates are going to be tough, but like take care of business against the White Sox, and you can have room for slip ups against Pittsburgh. And just keep it pushing. Like the Yankees down big tonight. The Orioles already lost. I don't know the Blue Jays. The Blue Jays did take the lead against Milwaukee. Boston was down big tonight as well. That they've already lost. The Yankees have lost. Pick up wins when the other teams aren't. You do that over the course of the season, and you'll be just fine. So
Yankees nearly lost last night as well. That would have been 7 in a row. So this is six out of 7. Not great.
Yeah. Well, that is going to do it for this week's episode of Raise Your Voice. Thank you to everybody for listening. We've been live on youtube.com/@raiseyourvoice. So if you haven't already, make sure to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and turn on those notifications so you can join us when we go live. We're also, of course, still available wherever you get your podcasts. If you really love what we do here on Raise Your Voice, you can head over to patreon.com/raiseyourvoice or click the link right here on the screen, and you can become a Raise Your Voice Patreon member for as little as $1 a month. As always, make sure to head on over to draysbay.com to check out all of that great race coverage. Once again, thank you guys for listening, and we will talk.